What is going on, Fightful Faithful? Welcome back to another interview here on Fightful Scraps. Today we are joined by DJ King, who is the owner of Infamous Pro Wrestling in the UK, and he has been the announcer for some of the biggest promotions in the UK over the years. So how are you doing, DJ?
I'm great, mate. Thank you for having me on.
No problem at all. And when we'll jump straight into the questions. And the first one I do have for you, obviously, Infamous is still a relatively young promotion in the British scene. But what inspired you to kind of found the promotion, and what went into creating it in the early days?
Well, I mean, I've been involved in the wrestling scene now for about 18 years, 19 years coming up. A lot of that was involved in backstage production. I was number two to a guy called Steve Saxon, who ran Britannia Wrestling Promotions in North Wales. And I was number two to Steve for probably about 10 years. And he basically taught me everything I needed to know to be a promoter. And I loved doing it. It was fun. And then an opportunity came up after COVID and after speaking out. There was a big gap. It literally in my hometown. There was no wrestling. There was no promotions anymore. So I took a punt, took a swing, and it worked. There's a fan base here, and they were crying out for wrestling, and they've taken to it like ducks to water. It's wrestling's back in Runcorn, so that's what I was aiming for, and that's what I've got.
Absolutely, absolutely. And over the 2 years, a lot of talent has come through Infamous and so on. But I have two questions in that regard. So, first of all, is there any talent that you've worked with that kind of like have been larger than life, have stepped off the page of the book kind of thing?
I mean, first when you talk about larger than life, you've got to talk about the current Infamous champion, and that's Isaac North.
Yeah.
The Wraith of Wargrave. He is like a comic book monster come to life, and not just in the way he looks, but in the way he carries himself and the way he works in the ring. There's nobody like him. I've said this on podcasts before. There's a lot of guys out there who want to be Isaac North, but there is nobody else out there who can be Isaac North. He's one in a million. But there's other guys. I mean, like guys like Lance Rivera. You know, he is a standout star. The lads from VGS, Tommy Jackson, KC Payne, Quintessential. I mean, these are all lads that have been with me since day one and are shining on the Northwest scene at the moment, and it's good to see.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about Isaac specifically and his character and everything like that. And what do you make of Isaac's kind of character in general? You did mention obviously that it feels like a comic book, but how do you feel does that translate to wrestling and with a live audience?
I think I mean, it takes me back personally to when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So, early 90s, 92, 93, when The Undertaker was still in his infancy, but still had that aura around him.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what Isaac's aura. It reminds me of, everything about it is the thing that made me go, ooh, about The Undertaker. Isaac has that it factor. And it's some guys, can work for ages and never find that. And he's just found it. And I feel like that's what it is with Isaac North. I think he's just a larger than life, character in general in wrestling, especially nowadays when we've got a lot of serious wrestlers who are wrestlers. It's nice to see someone who's completely on the opposite side of that and has leaned way into the character work.
And with Isaac being someone who kind of he sets himself apart from everyone with his unique look, his unique character. For you, what sets Infamous apart from the other promotions in the UK? Obviously, you've got Rev Pro, you've got Progress, you've got TNT, and so on and so forth. But what sets Infamous out from the rest?
I mean, just like the three you just mentioned there, Rev Pro, Progress, TNT, three of the biggest promotions in the country with the biggest stars in the country. Mm-hmm. And we're trying to bring an Infamous the next crop. we're trying to showcase the talent who are going to be the next stars. We're giving them a platform to showcase now.
Yeah.
We're not the biggest promotion in the country. We're not going to be one of the biggest promotions in the country, but I want to be the promotion that can give everyone an opportunity to shine.
Yeah. And has there been any difficulties with running with Infamous? As like, obvious since starting, obviously, it's still, as I said, as we've talked about, it's still a relatively young promotion. But has there been any major difficulties that you've gone through while running the promotion?
I mean, there's every show there's a new, there's a new struggle. So
Yeah.
you're constantly learning on this job, because every single show you will run into a new issue that you've never run into before. And I mean, it's not been plain sailing. I've lost a business partner since this started, but we move and we get on with it. And the good days have outweighed the bad days. That's what I'll say about that. It's been an experience, but a mostly good one.
And before I start talking to you about your announcing and your commentating and so on, I want to ask just one more question on Infamous. Is there any talent that you haven't worked with in Infamous that you've been looking to bring in, like that kind of that stands out to you that you haven't kind of had the chance to work with in Infamous? Obviously, with working with Progress or working with TNT, you've been exposed to some of the top talents in the UK that haven't been there yet. So
it's true. I mean, there's a lot of guys for a lot of reasons I'd love to bring in. One of the first names that comes to mind is Jay Joshua. I think there's like at least 10 guys on our roster I would love to see go at it against Jay Joshua. I think he is one of the best talents in the country at the moment. Very underutilized still. Should be everywhere. And he is starting to make moves, but I kind of feel like it's only now people are getting onto how good that lad really is. But yeah, I mean, it's a hard question to ask. I mean, just like, because there is, especially in the UK at the moment, there's so many talented workers out there. But I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing a couple of champions coming over. Maybe let's see if Luke Jacobs want to try and add any more belts to his collection. You never know. Give us a call, Luke. Doors always open. But yeah, I mean, that's it. The sky's the limit. Anyone who wants to work at Infamous, give me a call. We can work something out.
Fair, absolutely fair. And with promoting and with commentating, you've done both. But I do have to ask, which kind of do you prefer? Do you prefer kind of being in the back running the show, or is it kind of nice to just be at the announce desk and kind of just react to the show as it happens?
Do you know, I love commentating. I do. But there is something about sitting in the back. Well, not sitting in the back, because I that's a complete misstatement there, because I've never sat down at a show that I've been running once. But standing in the back, watching stuff go down on the monitor exactly the way I've planned it in my head, and seeing it come to life, there's something about that. That's truly special. But I've had some fantastic moments on commentary as well, some moments that I would have never got if I wasn't sat in the booth. So, both have both definitely have their qualities. But I'm gonna say, running the show, running things from backstage. That's probably my favorite position to be in.
And has there ever been any? You say you never sit down. Has there ever been an extreme difficulty that you've had to go through that kind of made you kind of sit down, that did make you sit down after and kind of go, wow, that took a bit out of me?
Not while working for Infamous, no. But I mean, a good 10 years back, while working for Britannia, we did have an incident where two fans during the main event decided to have a fist fight. Which led to a near all-out riot during the end of the show. Yeah. And I remember workers coming out from the back, workers jumping out of the ring, everyone just going absolutely mental. And it took like an hour and a half, 2 hours to calm that down. And then I remember walking in the back, sitting down and being like, why do we do this? Like, in general, why are we here?
Fair.
But
And
fingers crossed, knock on wood, that hasn't happened at Infamous yet.
so circling back to your announcing, what kind of inspired you to get behind the desk there? Was that something that kind of just when I asked this question, a lot of people kind of go, "Oh, I was there. Someone asked me, and I did it." But is there a bit more to the story with you?
I was there. Someone asked me. I did it. That's it. No. Yes, and no. Back to working in Britannia. I was doing a lot of things as Steve's number two. I was just helping run the show, booking, everything else like that. And then one day, commentator dropped out. He asked me to fill in. I filled in, and he went, "Oh, you need to do this all the time." So became my job at Britannia. Then I left Britannia and then started Infamous. Went to a Superstar Pro show in Liverpool, which is a smaller promotion that Jay Apter runs with a business partner. And I was literally there to speak to Jay and speak to talent about the Infamous show that was coming up. It was our first show, and Jay was helping me out with a few different things. So while I'm at the Superstar show, he says to me, "I've got no commentator for today. Can you just jump on for me?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll jump on." Jumped on, did the show. He then rang me the next day and said to me, "I've just watched the footage back from the main event. Would you like to come on full time as a new commentator?" And I'm like, "Oh, for Superstar, yeah, cool, I'm up for that." And he went, "No, for TNT, for all the TNT, for Extreme, Ignition, everything. Do you want the job?" And I was like, yes. Who's gonna say no to that? So it was a shock that that basically Jay giving me that job at TNT snowballed everything. It's allowed me to work for Progress. It's allowed me to work with GCW when they've been over here. It's created other job opportunities for me to work for other promotions in the UK. It's been fantastic. I owe Big Jay up there quite a bit.
And you mentioned it there. You've worked with Progress. You've worked with TNT. You've worked with GCW. How is that? Have you had to alternate how you announce depending on the promotion that you're working, or has it kind of all blended together for you?
Well, I mean, yeah, because obviously I'm used to working the family events, the shows for everyone, and then I started working at TNT, and Jay was like, "No, this is extreme. This is our audience are expecting a certain standard," and I'm like, "So what do you mean?" And he was like, "Swearing." I was like, "Okay." He was like, "You swear your head off. You say exactly what you think. You just you react exactly how you would react." Now in real life, I'm one of the sweariest people you'll ever meet. So it may have been a bad idea giving me that job, but he was happy with it. But then obviously, you're working for Progress, you've got to be on a more professional level because especially when you're working with someone like Ollie, because he's a seasoned pro, and Progress is it's his show when it comes to the commentary. Why it's great because he will lead you through, and you can just feed off what Ollie says when you're working with Progress.
Yeah.
And GCW is fun. Like twice now I've worked for GCW. One of the shows I did probably the majority of it solo, which was a bit of a harrowing experience.
Yeah.
It was great, but to know that you're doing an international pay-per-view and you're the only voice that people can hear, it's a little bit daunting. But the other side of that is that loads of GCW wrestlers will come and sit in the booth and they'll come and do commentary with you for the show. So I've done commentary with Effie, I've done commentary with Ali, with Jimmy Jacobs. Jimmy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's wild. Every where I've worked, it's completely different. Everything's a learning experience. So.
And with your experience in the booth, what would be the match that stands out to you? Like what match would stand out to you as the best match that you've been on the call for? If you have to kind of mention a couple, that's fine too. Obviously, with how much great wrestling there is in the UK, I'm sure there is. It is hard to narrow it down.
Leon Slater versus Dan Maloney was the first match that came to mind for the TNT title. It was when Leon beat Dan for the title. Dan had this absolute insane run. Nobody could beat Dan Maloney. He was destroying everyone left and right. And then Leon was on this tear as well. And the match itself was just phenomenal. There was that one, and then I think it was Mao. Oh God, was it Mao, Leon Slater? Oh my God, I'm trying to think, but Yoshihiko was in the match too.
Yeah.
And he got launched from the ring to the balcony to where we were. And just seeing like Yoshihiko, this doll that had been beaten up by legends like Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega, is literally sat next to me in the commentary booth. And I'm like, what is my life?
Yeah.
I started there calling Les Battersby's wrestling debut as well. I did that. That was weird.
I can imagine. So, and you've been wonderful to talk to today, DJ. But before we do start winding down, I do have one more question for you. With Infamous being such a young promotion, so on, obviously every goals will be changing as time comes. But for now, what would you say is the main goal for Infamous heading into the end of 2024 to start 2025?
But we got one show left in 2024, which is October 26th. That is our last event of the year. My goal for that is to be the best show we've done this year, and it will be hard to beat because our last event was incredible. My goal for 2025, more shows, and hopefully establish some more divisions within Infamous. We've got the heavyweight division, the title is there, but I want to see tag belts. I want to see women's title. I want the promotion to grow, more shows, more belts, and just more growth in general. Like I said, we're never going to be a Rev Pro or a Progress, but my God, we're going to try.
Yeah,
we're going to give it our absolute best.
And a firm statement there. DJ, like I said, absolutely great chatting to you today. Thank you for sitting down with me. Do you want to share where else fans will be able to see where they'll be able to see announcing and so on in the meantime?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can always see me at TNT, Sovereign Pro in Manchester. You can see me at Off the Page in Warrington. You can follow me on socials. I'm on Twitter, X. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. You can follow Infamous on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. It's infamous_WP for pretty much all of them. But yeah, just give us a follow, give us a like. You can also get infamous shows on the Real Wrestling Network, which is you'll be able to find all the information for that through our social media pages, so you can go back and watch past shows, and all that jazz.
Make sure to go check out Infamous, guys. It's a growing promotion that is putting on some banger shows at the moment. And check out DJ in the booth at those events. I'd like to thank you again, DJ, one more time for sitting down with me. And I'd like to thank all the viewers who are sitting here watching this now. If you are new to Fight for Scraps, like, subscribe, and come back for more UK interviews in the coming weeks. And that'll be the end of this one. And see you all in the next one.